Joining me right now from TJM Investments is Scott Shellady. And Scott, it is good to see you this morning.
Morning. How are you?
It's a good tone this morning. Tell me what you're looking at.
Well, it's interesting to see. We're looking at what the Fed, the euro-dollar curve here is pretty flat. So we're waiting to see if we're going to see anything that gets hotter. I've been saying for a long time, we're not seeing what we're putting in the engine come out in the exhaust. So we've got a little bit of a leak somewhere. I like where the markets are. However, we're not getting the bang for the buck for what we're putting forward. So I want to see more wage inflation. That's going to make me feel a lot better. But right now, we're not seeing it. So that's got me a little concerned. So what we're putting in the engine is not coming out the exhaust. And I think that's something that the Fed's going to talk about all year.
It looks like the markets, though, are responding to the China-U.S. trade situation. Fox Business reporting that Chinese President Xi Jinping will be in Mar-a-Lago at the end of March in hopes of hammering out a U.S. China trade deal. Chinese stocks are gaining more importance. The index provider MSCI saying that it will quadruple the amount of mainland Chinese shares in its indexes. So we've got a rally underway this morning, optimism about China. And, of course, you've got, the averages holding more Chinese companies, giving investors an opportunity to buy into the China story. What's your reaction?
You know what? I like the idea, and I think I agree with a lot of folks that think we do get a deal done, it's going to be supportive to the market. I'm not sure it really takes off, but it will definitely be supportive. But what I'm really excited about is this. Donald Trump's going to pin this on himself as this is legacy. He wants the world to trade differently with China, and that's going to be the big deal. How do all these economies around the world really all improve together when we start trading with a fairer China? That's the big story, not the day that we get the deal, because, yes, we'll probably see some sort of bump, but how these economies really shape up when we start trading with China freely, and I think that's going to be the big story. It'll take a little longer to play out, but I'm excited about everybody getting the chance to really show what they can do with China trading fairly.
Yeah, but, one thing that I've been saying on this program over and over is that the Chinese are going to have to convince the world that, in fact, we can trust their telecom technology. Yeah. Huawei, they're trying to convince the world of it today. They took a full-page ad out in the Wall Street Journal here saying, don't believe everything you hear, come and see us. This is from Huawei. Stay right with us, because I'm going to be speaking with the chief security officer at Huawei this morning. Andy Purdy, my special guest, 7 a.m. Eastern this morning, discussing the relations between the U.S. and Huawei, and, of course, all of the speculation of espionage going on at Huawei right now. So we're going to talk with Andy Purdy coming up in the program. This is a big story. The Wall Street Journal out with a op-ed this morning titled, "Thank You Tax Reform," writing Donald Trump's tariff policies continue to be a risk to investment and growth, and the Federal Reserve is a wild card. But the evidence of the last 2 years is that deregulation and tax reform spurred private capital investment exactly when a long-in-the-tooth expansion needed it to avoid recession. What's your reaction to this? Because the tax reform and the rollback in regulations definitely moved the needle. We did see growth yesterday that was better than expected for the fourth quarter in the name of GDP.
You're right, and I'm really frustrated about it, because I think that if you took Donald Trump's name off the top of the paper and his administration, and you go down the things that he's done pro-business and pro-economy since he's been in office, it's been fantastic. And you know what? I don't, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and I like to call myself a common sensocrat, everything that he's done or his administration's done has been common sense reform. All the things that we're rolling back that we couldn't believe were actually happening while we were in the depths of a recession with the last administration. So he's just done common sense reform that you and your parents would talk about over the breakfast table, and I love it. But the problem is, because his name's on the top of the paper, we get more of that, that syndrome where everybody can't stand what he does. It's been fantastic, and I think we've got another 2 more years of it. And again, if the Chinese thing comes through, if we can trust him, I agree with you. I'm a little leery of that. I think that things are going to be very good.
Yeah, no, I'm leery of Huawei. I'm not necessarily leery of a deal, but what we'll see. It looks like we're going to look at both of those issues today. Scott, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much. Common sensocrat. I like it.
Have a good weekend.
All right, have a great day.
All right, see you.
And a good weekend. Thank you so much, Scott.